Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, I took away all the towel seat reservations at the resort. I put vegetables in all my food to stop my roommate's kid from eating it. Mom threatens legal action. Short story, the people in the next apartment babysit poorly. So I made the kids think Santa died. They rarely babysit anymore. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. I took away all the towel seat reservations at the resort. I was on holidays in an all-inclusive resort. First day, we couldn't find any lounge chairs by the beach or by the sea. Fair enough, we arrived in the afternoon. Next day, we go to find a spot. But most of the spots were taken by towels. We find an empty seat, and to our surprise, many of the chairs stay reserved almost the whole day or never get used. Third day, we decide to take some towels off two loungers and enjoy our day. 4 hours in, an older couple shows up that they had towels there and kick us off with help from an attendant. That pissed me off, so every following day I went to take the towels off of every unattended lounger after breakfast, and then went to watch the chaos from my balcony. Many people complained, and by the end of the week there was a sign that unattended towels would be removed. Success! My parents have a timeshare at a resort. 15 minutes. That's the window before the chairs are free game. Totally got into a pissing match with an old couple because we moved vacant loungers into an open space next to them. They were going to use it later. They weren't even saving chairs. They were trying to save open space. We didn't move. Honestly, if you want an all-day place with the freedom to leave it unoccupied for periods, rent a cabana. Nice. The entire concept of reserving a seat using a towel is ridiculous. If they want a seat so badly, they should turn up early. How dare they think someone should sit on the ground just because they hung a towel there? Talk about selfish and entitled. File this under why I don't do all-inclusive resorts. Pay a fortune for vacation and have to play stupid school kid games to sit by the pool. Ya nope. My husband was head of outside maintenance at a condo resort and a certified pool operator. There would be owners who would reserve the tables with umbrellas as soon as he opened the pool. They were told not to. He was instructed to remove those towels and turn into the lost and found. He did this several times a day for 20 years. We have lots of beach towels at home because no one ever picked them up after 30 days. I stay at resorts often for business, and most have signs at the pool that if your seat is unattended for 30 minutes your stuff can be moved. Good for you forcing the lazy management to finally make reasonable rules. I see this sign often too, but I have never seen it once enforced. What kind of business do I have to get in to stay at resorts instead of middle-grade Marriott brands? I don't understand how the attendant could kick you off your seats. It's your word against the old couple and you've got possession. I'm no Karen, but I'd be screaming for the manager if they dared try to move me. Probably one of those times where both Opie and the manager would both rather just give in/find a new spot than waste the day arguing with some old entitled fucks. Whoever makes the bigger stink wins. When I worked as a holiday rep in Portugal, one manager used to go around at 9 a.m. and throw the unattended towels in the pool. I used to warn my guests, but they loved it, said it was excellent entertainment. The manager took no shit either. No coincidence that this was the property with the highest amount of return guests. We used to go to the beach for a week every summer. One day, the pool area was empty, but every chair had towels on them. My sibs and I collected them and put them all on one set of chairs. It was chaos. I used to go to a resort like that with my parents, and it was my special job to sit at the special spot to reserve it for the rest of the family. I didn't, and still don't, mind. It gave me some much needed alone time from being the youngest in a family of 7. I put vegetables in all my food to stop my roommate's kid from eating it. Mom threatens legal action. I, 26F, live in a rented house with a single mother, 30F, and her son, 6M. I had another person living with me, but they moved out and the mother moved in. I don't mind living with her and her kid. It's fine and we kind of do our own thing. I spend a lot of time at my boyfriend's place or working. Our work schedules collide, so we really don't interact much, but when we do, it's fine. No issue there. I want to start with saying that she clearly struggles financially, but I don't think it's an excuse. I don't make lots of money either. However, I've noticed that my food would go missing or portions would be taken from it. I assumed it was her kid, so I asked her if she'd stop him from eating my food. I was calm about it and she just said she would. It didn't really upset me when it first started. It started getting annoying when I'd get home from work and expect to have a meal's worth of leftovers in the fridge only to see it picked through or just gone. I kept bringing it up and she started getting annoyed with me bringing it up. Just from observing them, I realized that neither of them ever eat vegetables. And judging by the food that would get picked through and the food that would be untouched, anything with green in it was avoided. Orange chicken would be gone, but chicken and broccoli would be untouched. So I started putting vegetables in everything. I find vegetables to be delicious. And anything green or not a potato does not get eaten. So I could mix some bell peppers into the food and it would be fine. I make a big portion of vegetables pretty frequently anyway, so I just started putting it in everything I eat. If I had leftover mashed potatoes, I'd pour green beans in and mix it up. If I had leftover cheesy/bacon fries, I'd pour broccoli all over it and mix it in. Usually my homemade stuff has vegetables in it, but I started making sure everything did. I made a pot of mac and cheese, the kids' favorite thing, and poured in roasted Brussels sprouts, which is actually delicious to me, and I'm eating more vegetables, so it's a win-win. She had been seeming annoyed, but we were all home when I made the pot of mac and cheese. She was in the living room and saw me get out the Brussels sprouts and was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I poured them in. She said I was being greedy and annoying. I just said I like Brussels sprouts and that was it. She said we need food and I told her to go get some. Or stop buying only pre-packaged things and your money will go further. I think she sees this as some big act of revenge, but I just simply want to be able to eat my food. Also want to add that the sharing is not the issue. It's expecting to have food there and it's not. So often I'd be working a long day and get home expecting to have a meal's worth of food and it'd all be gone. Or I wake up in a rush and had my food ready to eat in the morning only to find it gone. So now I have to skip breakfast. If she would simply text sometimes, "Hey, is it okay if we eat food item?" I would know and know to make other plans. I would stop for food or know I have to whip something up when I get home. Also, I think eating the last of someone else's food is crazy and rude. If someone makes a big pot of something and you ask for a serving, sure. But if someone made something and there is one serving left and you eat it without permission, that is evil as hell. Update. So I have been steadfast with putting vegetables in everything. I've put vegetables in things I've never even thought of. This has carried on and the mom calls me a jerk but will not verbalize that she is eating my food. She just sees me making a lasagna and adding celery and bell peppers in the layers of fumes off to the side. The only thing I can't add vegetables to is snacks like chips or if I bake brownies or cookies. However, this is easily remedied by putting baked goods in a Tupperware and keeping them in my room. Same with chips. As I have previously stated, the sharing is not the issue. Recently the kid knocked on my door and asked if he would have a bag of microwave popcorn. I said yes and gave him one. All of this would be way less annoying if she'd just text, "Hey, can I have some of this?" and waited for my response before just helping herself. I do feel for the mom because she clearly struggles with cooking and trying new foods. She is older than me and winces at the thought of biting into anything green. And it is spreading to her kid, but it's no excuse. A few days ago I was making taco meat out of ground beef and like usual she was looking without looking. She was off to the side watching my every move but trying her to look normal. I made a dish the day before that involved sautéed mushrooms and cut up peppers. So when the meat was almost ready, I opened the fridge and she freaked when she saw me holding the mushrooms. She said, "Son's name, hates mushrooms," and I just poured them in the pan and mixed along with the cut up peppers. This caused her to react in a way I'd never seen from her before. She was yelling and stomping around the kitchen while the kid just watched. Felt bad for the kid to have to see his mom like that. People were worried about her tampering with my food. I don't think she's the kind to do that, but if she did, I would report that right away. She was flipping out, but she didn't snatch my food or knock anything over. She was opening and slamming cabinets, and it was all very silly. Then she started going off about how she is going to get the authorities involved. I just told her sure and that she needs to relax. She seemed genuinely upset and stressed, and I told her that I understand being a single mom is hard, but she needs to use her government assistance more responsibly. She'll come home with cold mac and cheese, sushi, and chicken from the grocery store prepared foods and blow all of it on that. I suggested food pantries and buying ingredients that last a while like potatoes. She said I was being condescending and I always have food to eat. This is to address that. Just make a portion of your food and set it aside for her and the kid. I do not make enough money to regularly feed to other people. If every now and then she asked for some of my leftovers, sure. But this is a consistent thing that was happening. It's not simple as giving her leftovers that I won't eat anyway. If I make a pot of something, I expect live off of that for the next few days. If it is eaten, then my money is messed up and I have to go shopping again and budget for more food. Wastes my time and money. I can't believe people suggested that you make food for the kids. Some Redditors must be in the top 0.1%, lol. You sound like an awesome cook though. I think you may turn them into veggie lovers soon. I highly doubt it. As a veggie hater, I went days without eating when I was in the military cause the cooks thought they'd put veggies in whatever slop they were serving. Eating that shit never crossed my mind. That said, I'm not condemning OP, sounds like her roommate is a piece of work. Redditors are dumb about kids. They'll tell people to forgive just about anything if a kid is involved, and anyone who doesn't cater to kids is a monster. Yeah, it sounds like the mom is very eager to hand you the job of buying their groceries and feeding her kid. No way. Not your job. What I find funny is that, if they're so hungry, neither of them will stoop to eating a vegetable. I'm still betting kid will get over not eating vegetables out of hunger pangs. And mother will be in deeper shit with kid when kid realizes exactly how mother's food aversion is harming kid. I would have stopped dead in my tracks and asked her why she was telling me that her son hates mushrooms. Call her out directly. Stop skirting the issue. Her food insecurity is not your problem. Her stealing your food is your problem. Okay, that's a bummer, I love them. You should probably warn him I put them on this then. I love veggies. Or even more direct, alright then, odd thing for you to say, seeing as I'm not cooking for him or you, and didn't ask. I have a rule that if you eat/take the last of something, you let me know. It's not about the sharing. It's about knowing I have something and looking forward to it, only to find it gone. Replacing it later still means I don't get to enjoy something of mine when I was expecting to. OP, you are not doing anything wrong. She and her kid are not your responsibility. You could be making $1 million a year, and they still wouldn't be your responsibility. The mother, and eventually her child, needs to learn to take responsibility and take care of themselves. It's the mother's job to provide for her child, not yours. You need to find a new roommate or new place to live. That situation won't get any better. Wow, the entitlement. As if it's your job to feed her and her kid. Back in the day when things were stupid tight for our family, we hit the food pantries, we cooked everything from scratch so we could stretch everything out. We made it work. I cannot imagine feeling entitled to someone else's food like that. As for what her son is learning from all this, oh my. Op's roommate is a child herself and has no business raising a kid. She can't even eat a vegetable, that's pathetic. You can add zucchini to brownies. I even saw an Insta reel recently where someone made apple pie without apples. They again used zucchini. Wow. While the food stealing is certainly an issue, I'm more worried about that poor kid. From the sounds of this, he's never eaten any vegetables, which is no good for a growing kid. Short story, the people in the next apartment babysit poorly. So I made the kids think Santa died. They rarely babysit anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I live in a building built in the late 1800s that was partitioned into 3 apartments decades ago. There is literally no insulation between the apartments, and my living room has a shared wall with the living room of the neighbor. Every weekend they used to have some small kids over, sounds like their nieces and nephews, definitely under 10. The kids would spend the day running back and forth and hollering, which I get that kids do that. I have 3, they're grown now. I ignored it for over 2 years. But the last few times they came over, the aunt, I presume, didn't sound like she was watching them. Instead, her boyfriend, barely 30 years old, was definitely there. I would hear him yelling with the kids and engaging them in video games and clapping his hands loudly and hollering at the top of his lungs things like YHHH gaga go go. Alright. Never heard him ever try to tell them to use inside voices, or not to chase their poor cat around, who I heard scattering paws on the kitchen floor often enough with their footsteps pounding behind it. Never heard him explain to them that other people live here too. No courtesy whatsoever at any point. No attempts to teach them manners, nothing. So one day, after literal years of this stuff, I had enough. I was sitting by the shared wall while they were on the other side, as I could hear clearly by their conversations and yelling and screaming. When the little girl screamed at the top of her lungs again, a high-pitched shriek, and the guy next door hollered along with her loudly, it happened without me even planning it. I just loudly pretended to get a phone call and said hello? Yes, that's me. What? No. At this point it got quiet over there. Oh my God, Santa is dead? What happened? Well, within 60 seconds flat I heard their door open and slam shut, and a bunch of feet tromped down the stairs, and the door at the bottom of the steps slammed shut. I guess for some reason the guy felt the need to get the kids out of their LOL. I've heard them back a couple of times since, but there were a couple of months of quiet. The most recent times they've come and gone pretty quickly. It always sounds like they get dropped off and then the parents leave and then the babysitters take the kids out of here. I'm sure the parents weren't too happy with the babysitters when the kids came home upset and asking questions about Santa dying, which is great because the babysitters needed a talking to about how to babysit properly. And the parents needed to know that the people they keep leaving their kids with are incapable of keeping strangers from influencing their children. Kids are gullible. I'm sure their parents told them that the crazy lady was just crazy, and they surely believe in Santa still, if they ever did. I don't feel bad about that at all. Anyway, that's my story of petty revenge. Edited to add, to all of you commenting that my phrase of him barely being 30 was implying he is therefore incapable of caring for children, that's not at all what I was implying. I'm copying here what I've had to say to a couple of people in the comments already. I referenced his age because my own sons are 28 and 30 and are, like that guy, still very much full of life and almost incapable of using inside voices when excited, despite the fact they should know better. I thought that maybe they're pretty typical of people their age, and if so, maybe it would help lend context to others who would be like, oh yeah, so the babysitter that day was probably not doing much of anything to help keep the kids toned down because he's still in his overgrown college kid behavior era anyway. It wasn't meant to be anything negative about age at all, more the opposite. I love my kids, but I have no problem when they're over here for Thanksgiving or whatever, telling them to quiet down, because I have neighbors and it's rude. Anyone else trying to act like I'm a bad parent, get off your devices and pay attention to your children, and quit judging a book by its appropriately located one-off story in a sub called Petty Revenge. What were you expecting? Something that wasn't petty or wasn't revenge? LOL. I think that's the funniest thing I have read on Reddit. I'm taking inspiration and nobody can stop me. When I was 8, I told my younger cousin that Santa Claus was dead. She didn't believe me, so I got the encyclopedia and showed her St. Nicholas and when he lived and died. Boy, did I get in trouble for that one, lol. Turns out Santa was allergic to the cookies you left out last year. He died soon after leaving your house. You are brilliant. When my boys were young, Barbie used to call and invite us to the mall. I've been living in apartments for over a decade, dealt with some crappy neighbors. But this is the most brilliant response, face with tears of joy. I missed the part where you had a conversation with the neighbors. So instead of punishing the bad babysitters, you punished the kids? Yeah, great. Sounds like they genuinely didn't realize how much noise carried between the units. Especially considering there wasn't any sort of Reddit moment entitled Babysitter Confrontation Scene. But glad OP is smug and proud, I guess. So did you kill Santa? I found out when I was 6. My mom finally broke and told me at 16 and was furious when she found out I already knew and didn't have an absolute mental breakdown. Why did you lie about knowing? I wanted to see how long you would lie to my face. I got in so much trouble for that one, lol. You got in trouble for letting her lie. What a strange world we live in. My 3-year-old figured it out, I think, because he wanted breakfast before seeing what Santa brought. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.